Hey guys, welcome to the Laying Foundations podcast. This is your co-host Davis Hamrick. Joining alongside me today is BrokerLord. What's up, Walker?
What's going on, Davis? Man, really enjoyed the conversation today we had with Len. He's an awesome dude, really, really cool dude. He is a real estate guy, so it's a little bit different than what we normally do, and so that was really cool just to see a different perspective. We got a chance to speak with him, and he brought up a ton of good things. One thing that I really loved was just the part about you know being the master of your craft, and we talk about that a lot on the show, or at least have brought it up before. And he kind of goes into you can do things, other things, multiple things, but find one area that you are really, really, really good at and become the best in that area. Because in any industry that you're in, just being jack of all trades isn't going to cut it. You got to be someone who is very good at one specific thing that other people want to come to you on. I mean, what did you think of today? I really loved it.
Yeah, I like that he said be the master of your craft, but even better, one of the things that I think helps you once you are the master is being able to listen to people like you said. He
Really
started
good.
to open up and talk about how him being a father, being a dad, allowed him to really just sit with people and understand, wow, okay, he's a human, he's going through something. What can I do? It may not even bring me business, but how can I be generous? How can
Right.
I share ownership? How can I listen? And that's the type of person you want to be. And if you pay attention, guys, we asked him about leadership, and he said, I don't think I'm a good leader. And that just shows you that's a humble guy that really just doesn't think much about himself, but he's going to be there for others.
No, I definitely agree. You can tell just by talking with him. He is a really, really good dude, a great dude, and just he loves what he does, loves people, loves being there for someone hurting. Another thing he talks about is just going off of listening. It's just when you partner with someone, for those out there, if you want to invest, if you want to do real estate, or even whatever it is, whatever area you want to go into, when you're young, when you're 20, mid 20s, even early 30s, you really don't know what you're doing very much. You have a sense of it, but partnering with someone who is older, wiser, who's done it for 20, 30 years, and just he says on here, add value to them. We talk about this all the time. Just try to find a way to add value to them, do the work, go out there, find the deal, manage the property, renovate it, whatever you can do. Just go out, do it, add value to someone. That way they can take you under their wings a little bit, and you can grow from them and add value to them and learn from them more and more and more. But yeah, man, I really loved today. I thought it was awesome. But without further ado, Len Shannon. Well, Len, welcome to the show. We really appreciate you being on. Just to start out with, man, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where you're from? How'd you get into the real estate side of things? A little bit different than the construction side we normally do, but I like to say they're all related because they are. So yeah, just tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Len Shannon, the third. I'm over a century year old. I have been working on land and improving property since I was little. My dad made us go in the yard and pull weeds, spread pine straw. So I've been trying to make places prettier, and I've actually fallen in love with it. When I fortunately was in high school, I love reading the home magazines in the supermarkets to understand where prices were. And when I went to Auburn, I got my real estate license and sold student condos, and actually made really good money back in the day. And then realized I really liked the financial modeling aspect of commercial. And so after I graduated from Auburn, got into commercial real estate, was a broker initially, but always bought a property or two every year. And then in 2005, broke off and said, we're not going to do any more brokerage. We're just going to be an investment company buying real estate, developing it. And then we had friends that were in the office with us that were brokers. And so fast forward to today, we're now a full service commercial real estate company, one of the largest in Birmingham, that does third party property management, brokerage, and we put investment deals together. So that's who we are. And I've been in and out of 200 ownership deals. So that's sort of all I've done my whole life, is put deals together and get investors, finance it, and turn it.
Yeah. Take me back to whenever you were a kid. You talked about how you were pulling weeds and doing pine straw. Was your dad at all involved in real estate, or was it just something that grew from when you went to Auburn?
Yeah, so Dad was sort of an upper management at a bank, and he had two rental properties outside our house, and one was right around the corner. And my brother and I cut the grass, we defleed it, we cleaned it on the turns, and I just remember thinking that's so cool to own multiple properties. And so I love the idea of that model of owning other real estate probably since I was 12.
So when did you buy your first property personally?
Um,
Investment property.
I was 18 months in the business, and I was representing a company called Rallies. It's sort of like one of those small, narrow, double drive-through burger places. And they wanted to be in Hoover on 31, and they were willing to pay $400,000 for a half-acre site. And I was at our company sales meeting, and somebody said, "Hey, we're listing this Mr. Transmission building. It's 6,000 square feet on half an acre, and it's $250." I remember thinking, well, that probably is a good deal to buy it. And if the tenant ever leaves, I can sell it for a lot more money. And so Mr. Transmission on 31, if y'all are from Birmingham, y'all will know that. It was there for a long time. That was my first property I bought, and owned it for 15 or 16 years, and eventually sold it to the tenant who was the operator. And then he sold it and made a lot of money. So that was my first deal.
I love that.
The part of that is understanding what the market is. And then whatever you do, whether you're selling cars or diamonds or whatever, if you have to understand what something is worth, and when something is undervalued, you recognize that because you know what it could be. And so I think that's the secret to whatever you do, whether you're doing construction or selling anything, is understanding what something is really worth. And that first deal, I understood, I think, what land was worth at Hoover, and was able to identify something that was undervalued.
How much truth is behind the saying that you don't a good deal isn't found, that it's made?
I haven't heard that one before.
Really?
It isn't found. I think it's probably a little bit of both. Sometimes you stumble across some good deals, but yeah, a lot of the deals you know, like the market right now, there are no good deals out there. There are no, the interest rates are so low. So in today's market, it's 100%. You have to make them. But like when the market's down and everybody's getting foreclosed upon, you can find great deals right and left. So it's probably a little bit of both.
Len, what's your favorite sector of real estate?
I've always been a retail guy. I've always loved the little shopping center on the corner at the light in front of a busy intersection. And I think, you know, that's how we made our money. And then the industrial properties seem to be doing really well right now. So I like retail and industrial. I will say this, I've never really done multifamily, but I think all my friends do multifamily are the ones that have the planes and the boats. I don't have a plane or a boat, but they do. So that seems to be probably the correct answer, is multifamily. So
you're saying you missed out, is what you're saying?
No, I'll let them have the plane. I don't need a plane or a boat. I just need I need a garden. Some land with a garden.
I know this podcast is kind of going a little bit different than what we normally do, you know, talking about question wise. I love hearing all this stuff. And real estate investments is like one of my favorite things to study and learn about, and trying to save up right now to buy my first property, which will probably be a while, but it's really cool having you on here. So for those out there, even if, you know, it's getting away from construction a little bit, like I said, but for those out there who are interested in real estate and kind of want to go that area, what would you recommend, or what would you suggest for the person coming out of high school, college, wanting to go into real estate? What is your advice to them?
So what's the best time to plant trees? Y'all heard this little...
What is it, right now? All right.
No, 30 years ago.
Oh, 30 years ago. The second best time is right now.
So I would say start as soon as you can. You know, when you're young, I wouldn't trust myself when I was 22 to make an investment decision. I would say team up with somebody who's an expert and somehow try to find value for that person. Like, hey, I want to buy something with you. I'll do all the work. I'll find tenants. I'll go door to door. Team up with somebody and learn from them. There's not a program. CCIM probably is the closest program. There's not really a good program that teaches you how to do investment deals. I think the CCIM program is the best out there in terms of evaluating investment deals, but in terms of creating them, you just have to work for somebody that's done it, and you have to add value to that person. So I'd say team up with somebody that is where you want to be.
That's good.
My bad, Walker.
Are you good? No, I was just going to clarify. So CCIM, for those who are listening, is a designation for a commercial broker, right? Is it a certain thing they can get on the end of their name?
And anybody can
I'm good at it.
Yeah, it's like it's like having CPA behind your name for real estate, but anybody can take the classes. You can be a banker, you can be a contractor.
Really?
And there's I think a 5-course curriculum, and anybody getting in real estate, I tell them they need to do that.
Oh, cool.
So,
I didn't know that.
Well, Len Walker's about to go do that when we get off this podcast.
Yeah, seriously. Signing up right
He
now.
loves learning anything about real estate, but kind of shifting here, Len, it sounds like networking is a huge part, but not even something to me, even bigger than networking is cultivating relationships, how you stay in touch with guys that maybe you just met. Tell us about some creative ways or what you do to, stay in touch with someone you just met. And okay, I think there's potential in this person that I really like. What are some things that you do?
I can tell you all the things I haven't done correctly that I do now, and that is you have to have a sheet. You can't have a relationship with 200 people, and so I have a sheet of 100 people that I try to touch every quarter, and you try to stay in touch with them, and you try to listen. Like when somebody's going through something, or I'm passionate about being a parent. I love being a dad. It's been the greatest privilege. So if somebody's a parent, I've got some parenting little books to do, like 10 things to do with your son. So I try to just relate to them on their level, find out what they like to do. And, it has to be authentic. It can't be fake. And so I love parenting. So I've done a really good job of relating to people as it relates to kids and doing fun stuff as a dad. And, just finding what somebody's passion is and trying to find out where they want to get to and help them get there. It's really about solving their problems. Find out what their pressure points are. Like, hey, what's your biggest problem? And is there a way that I can help you solve it?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really good. So with that being said, what do you feel like is the hardest part of running a company and maintaining maintaining relationships in general, not just with people, that you touch base with every quarter, but with those closest to you? So kind of balancing work life, home life, friendship, relationships, and we're making all that work together.
Well, there's so much business to be gotten. It's very hard to balance everything: your health, your faith, your family, your business. It's just, there's so many things you can chase, and it's just really about blocking out the noise and focusing on. There was that movie, y'all weren't even born when this movie came out. It was called City Slickers, and Billy Crystal was out there, and I think it was Jack LaMont's was the actor or something like that. And he was like, how do you do it? What's the key to life? He held up his finger one. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, figure out the one thing you want and focus on it. And so it's hard to stay focused today with social media and all of anybody can email and text you. And so it's really figuring out what the one thing is you want and make that a priority.
Have you ever read the book, The One Thing, before?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. That reminded me of that. What is that proverb they said? It's like a man who chases 2 rabbits will
catch none.
Will catch none. Yeah, something like that. I love that.
It's hard. It's hard. Golly, there's so many things going at you. And it's like, you got to figure out, and then there's a lot of business to be had. And so we have to figure out, I tell all my guys that they need to have, at least in Birmingham, a specialty that they're spending half their time on. You can go chase a land listing, industrial, retail, but you need to be an expert. You need to be the master of some craft. And in order to do that, you have to specialize. Journalists do not do well in our business. They can make a living, but they can't really build wealth.
Yeah, Len, I think that's one of the things I've been seeing since I've just now gotten into the professional world. I'm starting to see in construction how these guys I come in contact with every day are masters of their craft. They're masters of technically what they specialize in, and that's what makes them perform at a high level to where they're at today. So I love that how you mentioned that about real estate. I think that's something any young person should take in, because at this age of my life, it's trying to do everything for everybody, but realizing you need to have discipline to block that stuff out.
Yep.
One of the best things of advice you ever gave me was delayed gratification. You talked about it when we had a lunch one time. Could you maybe go over that for everybody?
Yeah, so there was a study done with these kids, and there was a life study, and they gave them a marshmallow. I don't know how old the kids are. Let's call them 5. It's all right. Here's a marshmallow. I'm gonna come back in the room in 5 minutes, and if you haven't eaten the marshmallow, I'm gonna give you 3. And they studied the kids that couldn't resist and took the marshmallow, the ones who were incarcerated, unemployed. The kids that were willing to see the value in waiting were the ones who were successful. And so I think real estate, delayed gratification, people that want it now are generally the ones who having a vision for the long term and being able to sacrifice. Just like the doctor who's going to med school, he definitely has a delayed gratification. He's like slaving, working 20 hours a day, spending lots of money on med school, but there's a pot at the end of the rainbow for him. So I just think in real estate, it's living below your means. Everybody wants to pretend like they're wealthy and look at me and nice this and nice that. If you can just say, look, I'm going to live simply for 5 years and save that extra money, that will produce so much more. It really is amazing with just 5 years of, look, I graduated from college. I'm not going to buy anything nice. I'm going to save and reinvest for 5 years, and it will change your life.
So what advice would you give for someone who is saving up? Where would you recommend they put their money in what, if it's a saving, module like a IRA, or just save it up for a down payment for some sort of real estate? What would you recommend for them?
A Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, really? Maybe get Elon Musk to give it a shout out again.
I'm not an investment guy and don't ever take any investment. I just have done real estate, and it's been really, Andrew Carnegie said, the financial guys say, put your eggs in multiple baskets. Andrew Carnegie said, put all your eggs in one basket and guard that basket like hell. I think you need to become an expert in some arena. And if you are, then you ought to be able to make the best decisions in whatever thing you're doing.
That's good.
Whether you're renovating houses in a certain neighborhood or building something, or like we buy shopping centers. I mean, we really try to be the best at what we do and understand market trends, the market rates, stay ahead of stuff. And if you do that, you can meet all your financial goals. So I'm not a stock market guy. I feel like everybody in the world's investing in the stock market. How is Len Shannon on this little farm in Indian Springs going to outsmart everybody else? I'm probably not. So
I consider investing, on the real estate side as well. I was more talking about just where, how would you recommend people save their money to build up, their wealth in order to invest it later on, the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road. But I think you answered it pretty well.
Yeah.
Len, we've talked a lot about different things, and, I wanted us to really try to hone in here for this is a construction podcast, and, we see how real estate kind of segments into it. What are some of the ways that, we talked about growing up? You worked in the yard, did landscaping, so you've always been around contractors in some sort of a sense. What are some of the ways that you're currently involved, as a real estate developer or as the investor of what your company does today?
Yeah, we love to buy old warehouses down by UAB and convert them to cool office or cool space. That seems to be good. And there's always construction involved, converting these old warehouses to, and there's challenges if they're 2 stories, figuring out, the life safety things. You got to get people upstairs, whereas before they walk down a little narrow staircase, now you got to put elevators in and the staircases. And so you got to sprinkle it, and everything's got to be ADA and all the life safety things. That's the construction thing is, if you have construction knowledge, you should be a better investor, because you can go in. It can be as simple as renovating a house. You're able to do that stuff smarter and better ideas. And so I'm sort of envious of the guys that have the construction expertise, because they have an advantage I don't have. I'm not an expert in construction, although I've done a lot of it. So
right. So what? I'm trying to just how to phrase this. For those who are in construction, what is the biggest thing? I mean, well, first of all, before we get there, let me answer this question. Do you deal directly with the people in, like, the contractors and everything, or do you kind of pass that off to someone else in the company?
I approve the spending, but I let somebody else handle the interface with the contractors and getting bids and stuff. And then I'm more of a very global, let's look at the big picture. We're going to, add this, this, and this, change this, and this is the price. And how does that model on the financial model?
So you're more with like the qualitative analyst sort of thing for the different properties. So what is the thing that you look for the most when you are trying to find another property to invest in? What is the one thing that you kind of like, if this property has this set of characteristics or this, financial model, whatever it is, what is that you look for?
It's a lot of different things. I try to come up with crazy quotes that people will remember and they'll say at my funeral. And one of them is, don't let the finances get in the way of a good deal. In other words, the deal may not work on a pro forma, but you just know it's a good deal. And so there's lots of deals. I can drive through downtown Homewood, Mountain Brook Village, all these great areas. Like, I didn't buy that because I was about 5% off from being a good deal. And so Len's old self would tell my young self, if you're within 10% of the price, just go ahead and buy it, because a good area is going to appreciate 5% a year. And it's hard to find these deals. If you have an opportunity to buy something in a good area, that's a unique, just go ahead and buy it.
Right. That's good.
I'm not saying pay twice what it's worth, but if you're 10%, I have so many deals that I work with at 10%, and I just didn't do it because I was too conservative. And I look back and like, man, I could own some really great real estate.
Len, are you calling yourself old?
Huh?
Len, are you calling yourself old?
Well, I come half a century.
Old enough.
If I was a car, I'd get an antique tag.
There you go. That's awesome.
No, I don't feel old at all, but I'm not standing up.
Len, so you moved from being a broker, working in college, to owning your own business and having employees for yourself and your partner Derek. What has it been like being that leader that people look up to? Being the partner of a firm. What does leadership really mean to you, and what does that look like day to day as you try to live that out for your company?
I don't really think of myself as a leader, because I feel like what was it? Steve Covey wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm not doing any of those, but I try to be generous. I try to help people as we progress. I try to share ownership. And so, I think a leader really looks after his people and wants the best for them. You can't fake that. And so, in terms of this magnanimous leader out there that's eloquent and strong and bold, I don't see myself as that. I hopefully will see myself as somebody that really cares about people, and I want to see all the people around me succeed and do well.
Well, Len, I think that answer just tells you, you're a very humble leader. You won't admit it, but
I'm humble as hell.
Right.
There you go. And I mean, you're a great guy, and I've enjoyed every conversation I've gotten to have, and you've always been willing to listen and engage and give me the attention, and I appreciate that about you. You're willing to be generous, like you said, and you're willing to share ownership, and I think that's awesome. It's 2 things that people could take away and try to strive to do in this day and age. But as we're kind of wrapping up, I wanted to give people a heads up about the BrokerLord podcast, and maybe you touch on what your partner Derek's doing.
So we have and I think I'm supposed to be humble, but I'm gonna brag a little bit. We're really good about being a broker and owning at the same time, which some people think that's sort of dichotomous. And so we're going around the country, Derek is, interviewing 50 brokers in 50 states that have sort of done I'm a broker, but I've also amassed a pretty good portfolio, and just hearing their different stories. And so I think he's got probably 10 so far, and he's going to release the next set here soon. And so it's really to encourage brokers, because a broker is a transaction person, and it's really hard to create wealth just doing transactions, because you have to be working for it. So it really is to help. It's been so enriching to us to own real estate, and we feel like we're, proselytizing people. Hey guys, you need to own along the way. If you're a broker, at least buy 1 property a year. And so that's sort of our mission, is to help brokers realize how they can own real estate and become wealthy through ownership.
That's really cool. So, sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was scratching my nose.
Okay. So I guess this question will kind of apply to everyone, but I'm really leaning it more towards a broker, I guess, because that's your experience. So in your experience, what separates a good broker from an average broker? Like the top, all the ones that your partner's going to go interview, what separates them from the broker who might have 1 or 2 sales under their belt and is just kind of barely scraping by?
Fear is not well rewarded in my business. It's somebody who's relentless, and he realizes, I'm going to get told no a bunch before I get a yes, and doesn't take it personally. And so I think there's lots of different things, but that's the top of the pyramid. Somebody who's not afraid of failure. Some people like I used to take my kids skiing, and they'd bring friends, and you could almost tell the kids, and some of these kids had never skied before. Well, if you're a certain personality type and you've never skied before, you don't want to try it because you'll look stupid. that's not the person that's going to succeed in real. It's the person that, look, I've never skied before. I got a whole boat of friends looking at me, looking to fail. I'm still going to do it. And that's the person that usually succeeds in our business. They don't mind looking like a fool.
Len, you saying Blake Miller would be good at being a broker?
I've never skied him behind my boat, but I'd love a chance.
That would be hilarious.
Hey, Blake would. He really would, man. He's fearless.
He is. He is relentless, and I think that's awesome. That's funny. Well, Len, we appreciate you being willing to spend some time with us. We know you got a date tonight. You're willing to get out there, but, I thank you for wanting to spend, 20, 30 minutes with us and ready to jump on a call.
Well, it's a pleasure. I'm glad y'all are exploring it. I appreciate y'all having a non-construction guy share with y'all. So,
of course, we really appreciate it. I know I've had a ton of fun and gotten to take a lot of notes. I'm definitely going to apply that to my real estate area of expertise. But, one more thing. This is our final question we like to ask. I know we kind of just started wrapping it up, but just real quick, what advice, if you could go back, into your 20-year-old self, 22, 23-year-old self, with the knowledge and wisdom that you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
Other than doing multifamily, I would do a better job of listening. People will give you clues. I love the saying, if you treat everybody like they're hurting, you won't miss by much. And everybody has a hurt. And, listen to what people really need and just really want to help them in life, not because you're going to get business, because most of the time you're not, but just, I would probably listen more and talk less. So,
listen, learn, and leave with questions.
That's right.
So I'm jealous of you guys. Especially when I was at Auburn, all the building science majors were around their freshman year, and after that, we never saw them again. They were so busy studying. I guess if y'all are building buildings that people are occupying, y'all need to. It's pretty serious, like going to med school.
They love throwing work at us. That's for sure.
Walker, I'm not envious of that. So
yeah, I told Davis we have to do a senior year thesis project, and I've been looking for a few hours today trying to find one to submit so I can work on it over the summer. That's been a lot of fun.
We'll figure out something. So,
yeah.
Well, guys, I'm sorry I was late, but it was fun talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it, and just thankful that you're willing to share with us a little bit. But I hope you have a great date and enjoy the rest of your night.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Len.